We just give you name, praise, honor, and glory. And we thank you, God, that we was able to gather together concerning the county, the community, God. We ask that we be on one accord, God. And Father, we ask that you bless those that have authority, the first responders, and each and every heart that's here. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
This is a regular meeting of the Henry County Board of County Commissioners being held on Tuesday, March 26, 2019 at 5 p.m. in the County Commission Chambers in LaBelle, Florida. In attendance are Chairman Mitchell Wills, Vice Chair Emma Berg, Commissioner Darrell Harris, Commissioner Michael Swindle, Commissioner Carson Turner, County Administrator Jennifer Davis, County Attorney Mark Lapp, and Clerk Barbara Butler.
Thank you, ma'am. As we're getting started here, there's some forms in the back. If you're here tonight and you'd like to speak, if you would get one of those forms and fill it out, please, and bring it up to the clerk. When it comes to that item on the agenda, we'll try to get you in and move you right along so you're not staying all night long for something that's in the front. First thing on the agenda tonight is bids.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
before I make a motion on this, I'd just like to ask Ms. Gadsden a couple quick questions.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Gadsden, I saw Calkel, is it Calkel?
Calkel.
Calkel?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have anybody here tonight from Okeechobee?
No,
No?
we do not.
Not that it's relevant, but they didn't bid all three of the five. And why did 10,000 or 1,006 Virginia, why'd they withdraw?
He did not want to have a lien placed against his home.
Okay. So y'all went through that process. Does that money flow right back into the system?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you still have that 108 plus minus to push
use
back
to
out.
someone else.
Okay,
Someone else.
good deal. You did not, Ms. Gadsden, you did not want to award everything to LaBelle Construction just to keep it smooth across the board?
Yes,
So you don't want to use Calkel and even the one that they did bid, or the two that they did bid, I mean?
Calkel, we have them with,
They have Bernie, or 1119 Virginia Ave.
and then the Bell Construction has 1351 Henry Isles, as
Yes, ma'am.
well as,
They have LaBelle Construction had three of the five.
Mhm.
And Calkel has the two. But you want to go ahead and use two contractors, not one. Is that right?
I want to use two contractors
Okay.
and not one.
All right, then I make a motion to approve. I know sometimes in construction, especially with the numbers being so small as they are, it just seemed to me it would be easier for you all from a staff perspective to deal with one contractor. But if you like it, Ms. Gasson, that's what y'all do on a daily basis, I'm all about it, Mr. Chair.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Got a motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Swindle. Is there any further discussion or any questions on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Gadsden. That brings us to the consent agenda.
Move to accept.
Second the motion.
Got a motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Swindle to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion?
Was there any, is the item with the rodeo, did y'all have a write-up?
They pulled it.
It's pulled, okay. Okay, all right, cool. All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Takes us to awards and appearances and presentations. We have Empower with us tonight for
Yes.
presentation.
Yes. Yes, that's me.
Oh, come on up if you
You
would.
ready for me right now? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
We don't have any handouts for that, though.
We do not.
I'm not sure who to think of. So my name is Amy Blakely. I'm the Vice President of Behavioral Health for Empower. And we are starting to provide services for behavioral health, so mental health and psychiatric services in Glades, Hendry, and Highlands County. We've been asked to come in because we have a special type of service delivery called telehealth. And what that means is, thank you so much, And what that means is we're able to provide services to individuals from their laptops or their home computer or their smartphone. Thank you. Thank you so much. And so we have a contract with Central Florida Behavioral Health Network, and we've been working with them quite a bit on trying to take over some of the mental health services for members of this county. And so we have a program manager that we've hired. Her name is Wendy Amos, and she's been working to try to advertise and get the word out that we can provide behavioral health services. We've been around for about 25 years, and as I mentioned, we're Florida's leading provider of telebehavioral health services. So you probably already know the shortage of practitioners and how difficult it is for people to get services. So I won't go into all of that, but I do want to talk about some of the services that we have available, our psychiatric evaluations, ongoing medication management. Everything we do is electronic, so we can prescribe electronically to the patient's chosen pharmacy. And we're able to, in some cases, get medications delivered to the patient's door within 24 hours at no cost to them. We have a slew of psychiatrists, advanced registered nurse practitioners, physician assistants, licensed clinical social workers, and about 35 mental health counselors that we're able to utilize. So altogether, we have about 50 practitioners that see patients statewide. And as I mentioned, we can set up spoke sites in certain areas in the community, like in schools or in hospitals or physician practices. And individuals can come there and get services from their own practitioners if they don't have access to technology or the internet. Or if they do have access to technology and the internet, then they're able to get services from their own home. Most of our patients see their practitioners from their smartphone. It's very secure. It's not like a FaceTime or a Skype. Everything we do is HIPAA compliant. And our practitioners are all over the state, just like our clients are all over the state. So if somebody needs a certain type of practitioner or a certain language, we're able to better allocate all of the resources we have with our practitioners. We do provide services into the evenings and also on the weekends, so people don't have to miss work or school. I've already talked about the equipment needed. Our platform allows multiple people to join at one time. So we can do family therapy if mom's in one location, dad's in another, and the child is in another. It also allows us to collaborate with physicians. So if our psychiatrist wants to talk to the pediatrician, or if a guardian ad litem or case manager wants to be involved in the visit with the individuals, we can arrange for that very easily. The bottom line is when we can deliver healthcare to people wherever they are, they're more likely to seek treatment and they're more likely to stay in treatment. So we've had some really good outcomes. 98% of our patients over the last 7 years have been satisfied with their telehealth services. And we have done over 250,000 telehealth services now. This is just a list of some of the top 10 diagnoses that we treat: ADHD, depression, PTSD, anxiety. We treat any kind of diagnosis, really. But I talked a little bit about prescriptions. Like I said, everything's done electronically, and we can get medications to the patients wherever they are within 24 hours. We partner with Publix, and the Publix storefronts all have a biometric station that you've probably seen called Higgy. It looks like that, and our clients can go to those stations, have their biometrics measured, and then that data is uploaded into our electronic health record every night. So the next time the practitioner sees the patient, they'll have that biometric data. There are a lot of benefits for this area because it's so rural. I'm sure you have a shortage of practitioners, or it's hard for people to get places. So
And Publix.
That's why we've been brought in to try to be a solution for behavioral health. And we always joke and say, it doesn't matter where you live, there's a Publix near you. I don't know if that's true here.
That is not true.
Okay. I saw a couple, but I went to Fort Myers
They're
first.
an hour
so
away.
Not near here.
An hour away.
An hour away. So that's not a requirement that people go to Publix. It's just a solution that we have. But we can get biometrics anyway, and some of our practitioners may or may not require them from the patients depending on the situation. So
It also has been proven to greatly reduce stigma. A lot of people don't want to get help because they don't want to go anywhere and they don't want to be seeing a psychiatrist. So this way people can get services from the privacy of their own homes. We are at www.empowerfl.org, and if you go to our website, you can make a referral for anybody to get services. That's what the website looks like. You click on the right button, refer myself or my child, or refer another person. That will take you to a link to fill out some quick information. And then my central referral and scheduling team will call the person to arrange for a visit and get them used to what the technology is like and do a practice session before the visit occurs.
Blakely, how long was that process? You said, I see the flow, so by the time you had said
right.
person's identified until the time they can start.
2 to 3 days.
Okay.
So when we went to a telehealth model, we went from a 3-month wait period to 2 to 3 days for new patients. I don't think anybody can say that, especially on the behavioral health side.
Mr. Chair.
So how did,
Clearly defined, but did you define exactly who your target patients are? Or we're talking about
Children and adults who have mental health needs or substance abuse needs for outpatient treatment.
that do not have insurance or
Yeah, we can provide, well, we take all Medicaid plans, we take a lot of commercial insurance, but this specific grant that we have is for indigent care. So people who are at or below 200% of the FPL and are uninsured.
so there's no so everyone qualifies. You'll either accept their insurance or they
Correct.
fall under that care.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
how does it work through the high schools?
So we're working hard to try to get some spoke sites in the high schools. Our program manager down here has been meeting with different people in the schools. I have a big meeting tomorrow here as well with DCF and Hendry County Schools and the community-based health program down here. So I've got a big presentation tomorrow morning, but our hope is to get some spoke sites set up in the schools so that kids can be identified from the schools and work with the guidance counselor or the school staff to set up a telehealth spoke site or room where they can go to be seen for their visits.
Mr. Chair. So, ma'am, you said the Higgy thing at Publix, but if we don't have that, and I'm assuming that is part of the metrics that you all have for a 2 to 3 day, how does that work for us?
It's an example.
Uh-huh.
To be honest, for a psychiatric evaluation, we never get biometrics prior to. So if our practitioner sees somebody, if our practitioner doesn't feel that the reporter is a good, reliable person or the parent is not reliable, they may ask them to go to their nearest healthcare provider to have that done. Some of our practitioners don't require it at all.
Okay.
It really depends on their judgment and the health of the person and what the medications are.
Okay.
So that's not something that has to happen by any means. It's just something that we've created as a resource. Anybody can go to the fire department and get biometrics done, or we also accept biometrics from anybody's own medical practitioner. But oftentimes it's not even required.
What should our population look like from a per capita basis? 40,000 residents roughly. Mm-hmm. How many people should we have in that, and is that a moving number?
So what we've sort of inherited is existing clients from an organization called CPE. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but apparently they moved out of these counties recently. So we got a list of about 750 open active clients that are already getting psychotropic medications that need services.
You said 750?
750, yes.
Yep. Because the last presenter from Central Florida Behavior told us about 600 names in Hendry.
Okay.
So 750. So that's good. That means we have a bigger net. Mm-hmm. But the real detail of that question is that a per capita on an average basis? Is that right? I mean, if you take that out and you get 1.4 million people of Palm Beach County, does it average out about the same?
No, it's very low.
Ours is very low? Mm-hmm. So that means there's probably
A lot more.
percentage of the population that we're actually just not servicing.
Absolutely.
And how do you suggest we go and reach that community?
So that's why I'm here today.
Uh-huh.
And I'm making my rounds down here this week. But we've hired somebody that lives in Sebring. So she's been going to, you may have seen her, Wendy Amos is her name, but she's been going around really trying to market. We've got a lot of marketing materials. We're trying to get the word out. We're going to many different meetings, and Central Florida Behavioral Health Network is trying to help get the word out. I'm very excited to be meeting with some schools personnel tomorrow,
Yes, ma'am.
because I think that's a great way. Anything that you suggest that we can go to or do to try to market this and get help to people that need it, we'll do it. That's part of our contract. So they're paying us to do outreach in this community.
They being Central Florida Behavioral Health
Correct.
through the state of Florida.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Who are you meeting with in the school system tomorrow?
I don't know the exact names.
Okay.
There are about 16 people.
Okay.
I'm doing a presentation tomorrow morning on Cowboy Avenue
Okay.
at 11 a.m.
Okay.
And I think there are about 16 people on the list of invites. So I
Mr.
live in
Chair.
Orlando, but I came down from Orlando.
Is
to
it
do
possible that yourself, or, I mean, you're the chair of our public safety group, but you're also involved with the school. Is it possible that one of you two or Ms. Bird could attend that? Do your schedules allow for it?
I wouldn't think we'd need an invite. We should be able to, yeah.
Are you available?
I am.
You go ahead then, I'll yield to you.
That'd be awesome.
Because the school system will,
What
Please
time is the
come.
meeting?
11 a.m. tomorrow. And I'm not exactly, it's on Cowboy
Is it the
Avenue.
high school? Is that the high school or?
might be at our outreach center. That's just where it is, the old RCMA building. I
We
wonder
can
if that's
find
where
that
it
out.
is.
11? I got plenty of time to
Yes,
figure
it's
that out.
11 tomorrow.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
if the county administrator could go with you, I think that would be wonderful as well. I don't think she's going to Tallahassee. She's backing out.
So this might be preferable.
Well, let's just make it a party. Why don't everybody go?
I'll show up.
I'll be there.
I will as well.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Do you have a copy of this presentation? Is this something that we can get a copy of?
I can certainly send it to Tracy,
Perfect.
and then you have it. I also have a stack of business cards I'll leave today.
Thank you, Ms.
Very
Baker.
good.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to bring us to the public hearings. First one tonight is petition number SC 18-0002. This is continued from February 26, 2019.
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. The applicant, Greenway Solutions, is requesting a special exception to allow horticulture waste recycling for the production of topsoil. The continuance for this project to today was so that we could work out an agreeable buffer plan. We've done that. The proposed or the requested buffers are in bold and in the staff report and on the attached resolution. If you would like, I can read through those.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
does anybody have any specific questions?
No.
No, I've already looked at it.
Do you want,
I'd like make a motion to approve
second?
with the conditions listed.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Turner.
I would like
This
to
is a-
add one thing, if I may, I'm sorry, that the buffers, we are going to work out a phasing plan based on their phasing plan through the site development plan approval process. The first buffer will be along the Heritage Road, but from there, we'll go through based on, again, their phasing of their activities.
What it-
And again, we'll work that out, but that's not written in here, and I just wanted to state it for the record. I
And
apologize for that.
What might the buffer be?
Pardon me?
What might the buffer be? No oak trees.
There aren't any oak trees on the buffer plan, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, this is what we discussed the other day in your office, correct? And I didn't receive any feedback at all once you sent the email out, so,
Yes,
and I know at the meeting, no one had any issues as well,
right,
so.
right, yeah. And for the record, we did email this revised plan out to the Felda Community Association president so that she could share it with her group. And again, as you mentioned, Commissioner, we have not received any feedback.
Again, this is a public hearing, so if anyone in the public would like to speak to this, if you would, come up, state your name. Okay, seeing no one. We had a motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Turner. Is there any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Emmons. Petition B, under number CPA 17-0002.
Yes, Commissioners, this is a small-scale comprehensive plan map amendment to change the future land use designation for this property that is just over 16 acres from residential rural estates to commercial. This project was heard by the LPA last week on the 20th. As I had emailed the commissioners, the results of that hearing was that the LPA recommended that the board approve adopt this comprehensive plan map amendment.
Mr. Chair, would you like to entertain a motion?
Yes, sir.
I'll go ahead and make that motion.
Got a question.
Got a motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Byrd. Mr. Harris, you got a,
Okay, this also is buffer.
Pardon me?
Do I have buffer on this one too?
Yes, sir. This will also, this property will also be, we will be processing a plan unit development where we will lay out all the buffer requirements. In addition to that, even without that, they would be required to meet the State Road 80 overlay buffering, landscaping, and architectural requirements.
And what about, is there such thing on there as a noise ordinance? Like
Well,
a cutoff time at 7 or 8 o'clock?
We will, through the plan unit development, which you will see that petition, we will address noise and we will address hours of operation.
Because that particular, I don't know how many trucks he's got, but that particular area in there is where the EOC is, C-43, Fortino Road, a curve, River Bend, and a couple other big trucking on the left-hand side as you go out. And that's getting to be a problem in there with people, which is not our problem. They're coming around the corner wide open and run. We've had a couple killed out there.
Really?
Yeah.
On 80, right there at 80 coming
Yeah,
around.
I think there
well,
was
it's
one.
those curves when you go around.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
And now we're loading both sides up with big trucks. And they pull out on the road, and this car here's from Ohio going 70. You know, that's not fast as they can go, and they're coming around the curve, and they can't stop. So that's where we've talked over years about the side roads.
Yes, sir. And as you know, we are still working on with FDOT, we're working on a State Road 80 access management plan for that particular segment, excuse me, from Lee County line to Cowboy Way. And you'll be seeing that in the next couple of months as well. But prior to you seeing it, we will be conducting a community outreach meeting for all the property owners.
Thank you.
it is also a public hearing if anyone in the public would like to speak to this. Seeing none, any further questions or comments from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You're still up, Ms. Embledge. Petition CPA-19-001.
Mr. Chair, this is your hood, right?
Yes, sir. This is, we've had quite a few community outreach meetings, and the community has been very involved, so this has been a.
So this has been a great
good
received
progress.
process.
Yeah, it's been a good process.
I'd make a motion to approve option number 1.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Harris. This is also a public hearing. If there's anyone in the public would like to speak to this tonight, if you would, just go ahead and come on up. This is the Wheeler Estates petition, if anyone's,
Yeah.
no one?
Mr. Chair,
Any- Yes, sir.
how many people live out there today, roughly?
That's a
I
good
don't
question.
know.
We had that question asked
Yeah.
at the LPA meeting. We haven't gotten that number, we have not found out what that number is, but we will.
And what do you think it will be a build out or what, I mean, like how many plotted or platted lots are there?
Well, there are a little over 1,000 parcels out there. And just to let you know, we've had a lot of purchases out there, and we get probably inquiry once a day on folks that are interested in that area.
Good grief.
So we need to continue to work on that community for some of its facilities that it needs.
Access.
Well,
road.
yes.
Road, access, a road.
Break out the napkin, Mr. Chair. Break out the napkin. Get it going. Let's
Yes.
get after it.
If I can get Mr. Harris to leave Shane alone, we'll get something done over there.
Hey, that guy, all he wants to do is deal with his
Pave
district.
pave everything north of the river.
Just north of the river and
Sidewalks
sidewalks.
and paving. Yeah.
Sidewalks,
Okay.
ditches, all right.
If I may, before you continue, I just wanted to highlight that the land use study will result in 3 actions, one of them being this comprehensive plan amendment, which this is a transmittal hearing. The second item is a land development code regulation specific to that area, which will have 2 readings, and you'll hear that at the April 23rd board meeting. And then we also have rezoning of the existing A3 and RG1 parcels to a rural residential Wheeler Estates new zoning category. So you'll be seeing more of this in the next couple of months with the final approval at the end of May.
Again, and Ms. Emily stated at the last meeting we had that everyone understands, this is specific to that area.
Yes.
So this will speak to that area. This has been a process they've done a very good job on. So is there any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Emily.
Thank you.
Nothing under correspondence and action item under FYI. We had the project update from Mr. Parker. It's going to take us to staff reports. Ms. Davis.
Item before you is a report of Mr. Wood's on lot mowing liens.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was goofing off again. Oh, we're there already? Yay.
Hurry up.
You want to have any questions over it?
About 38.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's party. I move to approve option 1 to approve the 67 liens and waive the 12% interest requirements.
Second.
Motion
Chair.
by Commissioner Swindle, second by Commissioner Harris. Yes, sir.
Option 1, does that mean we're wanting to move forward with, this is not the one, excuse me. Okay. Yes, sir. My question is, when you show us the 67 liens, Jennifer, let me give you an example. We were given a report back in August of last year, maybe it was September of last year, but not real sure. And just in looking in the first page of that report, this was the report that had $141,000 of liens that the county was due. And it goes back from 2010 to 2018. My question, Jennifer, is just on page 1, for example, 1133 Apache Avenue. Y'all all have that in your packet. 1133 Apache Avenue. I could pick any of our districts. They're all in here. But let me just focus on a couple here. So 1133 Apache Avenue, and we're referencing lien 16-0619, and it's a $200 mowing lien. But on the report that you all gave us, that particular property has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 liens on it, going from 2011 to 2018. And I don't know if it's an arbitrary move or what the logic is behind it, Ms. Davis, but why are we choosing the lien from November 15th, 2016, and $200 of a mowing and not any of the other ones?
And you guys correct me if I'm
Yes.
wrong, but we went back 5 years because that was the statute of limitations. And so we were only able to go back 5 years, and so the other ones are older. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, they're not older. We have one lien that was done August 17th of 2017, another lien that's March 9th of 2018. Those are 60 and 60. And then 20, correct me if I'm wrong, but 0619, November of 2016, That's 3 years ago. So what is the date that takes you back 5 years?
It was April 1st, 2014.
Okay, so then that means that the lien on March 3rd and of 2015 and June 30th of 2015 should be able to be applied as well.
You want to go ahead?
Yeah, some of these liens weren't actually recorded till later in years. So if we mowed the property, let's say in 2009, and a lien wasn't filed, back in, I believe, from the previous supervisor, she was cleaning up the liens, and she was going back to all the ones that should have been liened. They were invoiced, the properties were abandoned, so it was a cleanup process, I believe, from maybe, I left in 2012, I think it started after that. So from 2015, some of the liens that should have been recorded within that time frame weren't, so they were recorded then. They were invoiced and then recorded. So that's why some of your cases, you'll have an 09 or 2014 and on. But if you look at the recording dates, some of them were recorded later on.
So that would be the reason for the dates.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it makes no sense. So are we just writing these off,
Okay.
Ms.
Only
Davis?
the interest, right?
No.
I thought it was just the interest that we're
This
writing off.
interest.
No, no.
Not the lien.
No, my question is,
Different question.
my question is on the property of 1133 Apache Avenue, in the packet that was given to us, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 liens associated with that property. What's gonna happen with the other liens? If we're only asking for one of them to be approved, that represents $200.
So there's at least 3 in this packet, so I'm looking at.
No, in this packet, there's only one associated with 1133 Apache in my packet.
Okay, there,
You got 2 more?
17-0236 is another one. And then, what is this one?
See, I just did a quick cursory look, and on the first 2 pages, I found multiples that were like this.
17-0760. That's the third.
Is your question, what happens to the rest of
There
them?
would be 3. There would be 3 on that specific parcel as an example.
And so the other ones we're just writing off.
Well, if they were older than the 5 years, we would have not re-recorded them here. But we're not writing them off, they're
No.
staying, correct?
Correct.
And so, because a lot, please, if I say anything incorrectly, the title companies will pay the liens whenever there is an action. And so we're not moving to write anything off, but the ones for the last 5 years, we're cleaning them up. And so what we've asked you to do tonight is to waive the interest only on these liens, to be able to move forward. And so if we were to choose to not waive the interest, we would have to go back and renotice, and it would be another 30, 45 days.
Correct.
And so we really just want to clean these last 5 years up and to be able to move on and start working on our properties for cleanup.
Is there a process where we can actually have a longer tenure? It's not just 5 years?
Is that statutory?
Right, if you go to the special magistrate process, you could have a 20-year lien life for these.
He
but-
knew you were gonna say that, that's why he asked.
Can't go to the judge?
But that
Well,
wouldn't,
that would be a court judgment. Court judgments do have a longer life.
but it wouldn't affect anything from now, though, is that correct?
Right, these are already, the process was done
Correct,
under
yeah.
our ordinance here, so you can't like
So going forward, that would for the
Right.
next 20 years, but anything
Correct.
going back is not going
Right,
to.
that's correct.
Okay.
All right. But just a cursory review, of looking at the 67 liens that we have. I mean, we have multiple that are in there that are like that. And just the first 2 pages, I didn't even go past the first 2 pages. We have another one that has 11 liens on it, another one that has 8 liens on it, and, we're asking for.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, and I certainly don't wanna just write them off. but I also want to move the process forward, and if we have to lose out on $688 interest. Right.
So the motion as stated is to approve the 67 liens that were presented and waive the interest.
12% interest. That's the motion I presented, yes.
And it's been seconded, correct, Mr. Chair?
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion?
If we could just have a report that takes us back time certain, that would replace this report, which is, I guess, essentially not referenced, or usable, I guess. I'd love to see that, so.
Surely it's been updated since then.
Doubt it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I just have one little briefing item that relates to the code enforcement, the lot mowing liens. In January, you authorized foreclosure proceedings on a property in Harlem, 725 Arkansas Avenue, that had 3 lot mowing liens and 1 building demolition lien, and we filed that lawsuit March 7th, and it's been served on the defendant. They haven't had to respond yet, and we have a court hearing April 24th on that. So that's just
Have you
information.
filed the one on 78 yet?
Yes, today.
Today?
1224 County Road 78, Rodriguez. We filed that one today. That's not a foreclosure. That's to compel cleaning up the property.
Will they fall under the per day fine?
The judge's discretion, he can order a per day fine, yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
so on 725 Arkansas, on your write-up, you said hard cost for the lawsuit will be roughly $1,000. I assume you sent the demand letter, there was no response, you've moved forward with litigation, and what are you anticipating will occur now?
Right. The dollar amount on this one was under $5,000. It was like,
$4,780.
yeah. So we were basically compelled to be in small claims court by the rules. So the way small claims court works is you file your lawsuit, and there's a court hearing scheduled right at the outset called a
You can sit down.
pretrial conference. It's not usual. Most court cases don't have a pretrial conference set at the beginning, and this one does because of small claims. So the next event is the pretrial conference on April 24th. And they're supposed to come, the defendant's supposed to come, I'll be there. The judge will hear, how it should proceed, whether it should be discovery, whether there's any real defenses to it, schedule a trial if it's appropriate, or just kind of take stock of the case overall.
Let's see. Number 2, is that where we're at?
I have a question before we move on. Even with waiving the 12%, did we give them a period of time to pay to see if they would pay when you took the 12% off?
Well, no, we haven't communicated with these properties for this action, but something that we brought up a couple months ago was that one of the things that we could do to compel folks to pay these liens is to send letters to everybody that has a lien, like including these folks, reminding them that they have a lien on their property and that, they need to pay it, otherwise it'll stay on their property, until they do pay it.
And is there any way you can add if this property is prayed at such and such a time that we waived the 12%, and if not, it's added back on?
We can't do that. No, not on these.
It's just to give them that push.
Maybe moving
Well,
forward, but there was a
Senator, yeah.
specific reason we had to waive that 12%.
Right,
But moving
right.
forward, you might be able to.
This is a cleanup that we'd like to be able to
I
move
understand.
forward
I know
on,
why.
and again, we'll have a better opportunity going forward with making sure that we're following this procedure correctly.
Thank you, Ms. English. Code enforcement reports?
Yes, this agenda item, we touched on 2 topics. One is the special magistrate, and we also have a report on the results of the last court hearing. We did send you some of that information, but we're prepared to provide that again here. We also, for your information, not on this agenda item, we do have a report on the sweep that occurred on March 14th out in the mid-state area. But as far as this agenda item, the main focus is on the special magistrate information. And we were asked to obtain additional information with the focus on getting the information from Clewiston, Glades County, and Okeechobee County, and DeSoto County, just because they're similar in their demographics, et cetera. And so we've provided that information on this staff report. I'm happy to go through it, or I can just open it up for questions.
Does anyone have questions on this?
Who's that, the special magistrate, is that typically a roaming judge, or is it an attorney, or who is it usually that wound up being?
Usually an attorney. It could be a retired judge, but more likely an attorney.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, I don't know what everybody is contemplating on this. On option 2, the only thing I would just say is that, it looks like we're moving a little bit closer to considering a special magistrate. I also think that there may be another option in here where we don't do anything tonight. We just basically take this information in, process it, and think about it. One thing I will stress is that, in option 2, it says to consider hiring a special magistrate and take miscellaneous code cases and keep the current lean and clean process for mowing and demolitions. I disagree with that completely. I think just through looking at the history of how many years and how many liens we've created, number one. Number two, I just don't think that we should be in the business of cleaning up people's property. I think we should be in the business of telling people they have an issue, and then hopefully, either by judge or by special magistrate process, there being a daily fine that's instituted until said person either acts or the lien gets so great that we're able to start foreclosure proceedings.
I think the daily fine will clear up a bunch of that stuff. So if you told me $50 a day or $100, I'd do it. Then, Mark, how long do you have to go? Like, if you start that daily fine, is there a limit?
Well, it depends what the magistrate or the judge orders, but if they say per day until compliance, and compliance takes, it can get to thousands and thousands of dollars.
When would you come to a foreclosure?
Well, under the special magistrate process, I think there's like a 3 months period after the order is not complied with. You can then commence foreclosure, I believe. There is a time frame.
Within 3 months?
I believe, for special magistrate. Yeah, I believe it's.
Is that, Mr. Chair, is that time frame any different with the judge?
Has to be shorter. Based on what we've heard, it has to be shorter.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No,
Well,
because just to even get into the judge is a minimum of 60 days.
For the.
Then you have action afterwards, whether you come in compliance or not.
So the judge has to be a longer period, I would think.
Well, it's going to be a longer process.
Yeah.
For the judge, we'd be enforcing, assuming it's a court ordered.
Is it even an option that the judge can do that, is my question. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the, I don't know. We've not done that. We've not actually asked the judge for permission to go and do it and then lien it.
So we'll have to do our first one and find out.
Well, I have to do some research on that. You're just asking me this right now, so
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but,
That's something we can bring back to consideration once we look back at this again.
So, Mr. Chair, what not having these two options, what are we considering tonight as you understand it?
As I'm kind of getting closer and closer to the special magistrate myself. I mean, like I said, I was originally the one that brought this into the equation.
Yes, sir.
Speaking with the other counties, and the more we look at this, it's actually going to be a deterrent and actually get the process moving quicker and more efficiently. So I believe tonight we're looking at, like you said, I don't believe we're taking action tonight. I think we need to get the information back from Attorney Mr. Lapp and go from there, but I believe we're headed towards the special magistrate is what I think.
Jennifer, do you have a comment on this?
I do. I think we're leaning in that direction. I was not looking for you all unless you so chose to do that tonight, to make a motion on this tonight, but I believe sometime, probably either the next meeting or the second meeting in April, that'll give Mark time to research the foreclosure issue, and then also come back and make a recommendation whether or not to go to the special magistrate. We were gathering costs. You had asked that at the last meeting to provide to you at this meeting. And again, as we have more and more cases, there's going to be a need to hear them more frequently, is what we've been discussing internally. And we could meet, for example, twice a month for a special magistrate rather than once a month and be on a court docket and so forth. And that's going to take more time. We might be able to get things rolling a little bit faster with a special magistrate.
I believe, Ms. Butler, you also said more of those funds would go back to the, did I hear you correct? And a couple meetings back, we were discussing that you said some of those funds that weren't going back would come back to the county. Was that correct?
10% administrative.
With the
costs.
special
The
magistrate?
clerk's office charged 10% of the, what they collect for them.
That's with a special magistrate.
No, that's for the court.
That's for the court.
The special magistrate's away from us.
And I don't have a problem at all entertaining the discussion, or even if that's the direction we decide to move. But again, I just don't think it's going to do us any good if we don't lean on and put the pressure on Ms. Embledge and Wanda and that staff and that crew, because so we meet twice a month. If they are tapped out on what they can do and they can only prepare and bring 30 to 60 cases a month, that's where we are today. And so is it going to do us any good to go hold a more robust magistrate if we don't have a plan to fill? Does that mean, you follow what I'm saying? We need to make sure that our staff is prepared and we have adequate staff. Does that mean more boots on the ground or whatever? But I want to make sure that you guys are comfortable that if we go in that direction, we're going to expect large numbers, large results to happen. If we go in that direction, we only get 30 a month again, that's going to be a futile effort.
Mr. Chair, I disagree. I'm not anticipating 30 or 60 a month, or even 20 a month, in my opinion, in the first round. But think about this, though, Commissioner. So looking at the numbers that staff prepared in our discussion, $75,000 for demolition. I think that's down a little bit from when I first got on. I also think that at one point we zeroed that out.
It was none. We added that back to it.
Added it, you know what I mean? But I think we've pulled it back a little bit. $12,500 for mowing. This is just from 2010 to 2018. It's $141K. How many of those are we actually applying on? And that's not, I mean, most of these are 80, 85, 100, 50, 50, 60, 60, you know what I mean? There's only about 6 of them that are actually demolitions that are of any amount, In September of 18, we did a $16,600 demolition. There's a couple of them in there, $4,900 demolition in 2018.
Well, the money, I'm not speaking so much to the money as the volume.
What I'm saying, though, Commissioner, is we have hard costs associated with here.
Sure.
The special magistrate, in my opinion, should allow staff to be able to bring in front of that person the items that are out there that are prevailing and that have issues associated with them, associated with blight. And then the special magistrate allows for code enforcement to have teeth to say back to said person without the county expending any dollars, because the tab starts running. The moment the special magistrate process is implemented, the tab starts running on said offender. And now you have the ability to not have any cost incurred and put that cost to the offender.
Is there a time issue in there?
Well,
not.
I'm 100% on board. My only point is I think that what we've seen over the last 90 days is teeth growing and getting worse with the current judge in the situation we've got. Does everyone agree?
I don't disagree.
So my only point is, if we're not going to outperform by having a special magistrate, I don't see any point in going in that direction. So if we can't do 60, 90 a month, we're doing 30 now. So if we're not going to do 30, if we're not going to increase the productivity with the special magistrate, what's the point in doing the special magistrate? You've got the teeth. We're seeing the results. Is that am I making sense at all?
I think the time is what we was talking about. With the special magistrate, we'll actually be able to get before them more. There'll be more time to get before the special magistrate than a judge. And you're talking 30 to 60. Well, the situation may be that if you have those ready to go, you're still waiting a month before you can present it. But if it was ready to go and you waited a week, then you could present it. That's going to cut your time in half. And really, that's what I'm looking at, is the time. And the fact is, if we don't give them if we don't give them the resources, we can't expect them to come back with 60 to 100. We
That's-
have to give them the resources, but, once again, the frequency of time before the special magistrate is gonna cut the time in half, that's for sure. If you only go once a month and you can go twice a month, I'm not a rocket scientist, but that cuts it down in half. So, time-wise is what we're looking at. It's not so much the dollar amount, it's the time. And actually getting, getting them cleaned up.
And Mr. Chair, seeing the leaving 28.5 for magistrate ordered cleanups, I don't see why we're budgeting for that. To me, if the person doesn't clean up and the magistrate orders that the cleanup has to occur, then you simply put a fine associated to said violator, and then when it hits the tipping point, one of two things occurs. Either said owner does it, or said owner, who is probably a poor player anyway, is going to abandon property, at which point we foreclose and take back what's ours. Take back what we need to prevent blight from occurring more than what it already has.
And then you can also do the judges too. You can do both.
Blended.
Yeah.
I think it's something we do need to
Listen, I
research
would
a
love to
little
hear
more.
you weigh in on my question.
I will tell you that our staff workload right now with all the cases that we have, I think we need another code enforcement officer.
That's what I wanted to hear you say. That's what I was getting at.
And I know that and I will say that I believe we need one now, just plain and simple, regardless of what route we go. But if we decide to go to the special magistrate to speed things up, have 2 hearings a month, and we don't hire somebody, we'll know quickly how well we're doing with just the staff we have.
That's my whole point is your staff currently is preparing what the judge can handle. And there's no sense in changing the process without changing the load. So unless we add more boots on the ground, more code enforcement, which will bring even more in front of the special magistrate, I think there's no sense in making it. If we're not going to do a complete wraparound service here and make it all happen, I don't see any sense in doing half of it.
I disagree. I think that if you take into consideration the fact that I had a constituent come to a board meeting last month and yell at me publicly over an issue that they have in the corner of their neighborhood that's been there since 2 county administrators ago, I think that's us not applying the resources that we have properly. And I think that now we're looking at it better. I think we're going to get more clean in this process. And we're looking at a list of liens that goes back 9 years that we're hearing we may or may not have to, I don't know. And it's taken us 4 months to approve 67 liens, 4 months to approve 67 liens on 31 properties, I think is what it is. So I think we're all learning in the process. I think that we're going to get more efficient, but I don't think we need to throw more dollars and cents at it. I think we need to allow the violators to have to front more dollars and cents by implementation of the special magistrate process, which allows for, there is a mechanism for us to do that. And, maybe we're still a couple months before we even pull the trigger on making that decision final anyway.
The efficiency of it was really the reason I brought it before the board originally. And speaking with other, county commissioners around the area, and I was asking them, do you have the same problems? And they said we did. We had a lot of the same issues until we brought in the special magistrate, and it made it more of an efficient situation. That was the reason I brought it originally. Had really nothing to do with the dollars and cents. It had much to do with efficiency. And again, we've got stuff all over the county. I mean, not just in my district, but in every district so we've got a lot to do. And reality is, it's not so much what the judge can do, it's what our workers can do.
That's my point all along. That's exactly what I'm trying to
I
say. I don't think our workers are going to be more productive because we add a magistrate.
Well, they don't have enough staff.
That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think, and the magistrate's going to help the staff to be able to be more productive.
Yeah.
Even with that being said, I do know the time is important because by doing my ride-abouts, when they be done clean the area, and then by the time they get back to it, that same area is in the same situation because they can't do a follow-up. So they don't have the time to do it, and I'm not sure if that will help or not. I do know we do need another body. I do know they're working hard, but they don't have enough time. So by the time the code enforcement get back to the area that I complained about, it's already built back up. So they're starting all over again. So do I know the answer to that right now? I don't, because we can try to see how it works and see if it will help, because you can always take away.
Is there such thing as ever, what we're talking about, getting caught up?
No.
That'd be
If I
great.
may, that's what I want to speak about, if
Yeah, I
I
don't think
can.
we're ever gonna get to that point.
Well, I mean,
No.
we're gonna get to a point, we're not like we used to be. We don't wanna be that way anymore.
We've been playing catch-up.
That's what I
So
mean.
just to kind of put this together, we have 3 code enforcement officers. We've had a changeover in staff in that department almost completely. So we have 3 new people in that department. We have been playing catch-up. We just tonight brought before you these liens for the last 5 years so we can get that done. To Commissioner Turner's point, for 4 months, they've been working on stuff for 5 years ago. So tonight was the night we're putting that to bed, and then tomorrow is a new day. And so now we're gonna be able to move forward. And so one of the reasons why I asked Margaret not to necessarily make a recommendation in this report tonight is because I wanted that to occur naturally. I wanted to see what you all were gonna do with the interest, because if not, we were gonna be another 45 days behind doing cleanup for the old stuff. And so now you've approved it, we're moving forward. And so I think we need to give it a little time for everybody to move forward in the new protocol, the new policies, and how we are looking to move forward. Margaret and I have talked about some other potential creative funding mechanisms to get them more help within some of the existing dollars that we already have in our budget, that we could properly and legally utilize some other areas that we would bring back before you for approval, of course, before we did that, to be able to accomplish, if we were to go to a special magistrate, some of the clerical. So right now, the clerk, if it goes to the judge, the clerk's office is doing a lot of the orders and the scheduling and all of that. If we go to a magistrate, we'll have to do that ourselves. So we're gonna need some help in doing that to be able to be efficient, to your point, to make sure we're moving forward. So we have some ideas on how we might be able to accomplish that in our existing structure and be able to allow our 3 code enforcement officers be code enforcement officers, to be able to have more, be able to be more efficient. And
Yeah.
so,
And with that being said, I mean, if you look at what they're doing now, they're doing way more than was done in the past. So we're not saying anything negative towards our department at all. You guys are doing a great job. What we're saying is, we want to do whatever's going to be best for not only Hendry County, but the employees as well. We have to move the ball forward. If you brought these many back already, and you're having to go back a workload 9 years, correct? Is that what that was, 9 years?
5 years.
5 years. So we're moving forward. What we're trying to, and the reason I'm mentioning this at all is we're trying to increase the efficiency. I mean, anyone knows if you have a business, you want it to work as efficient as possible. If one of us was sitting up here tonight running a business and was doing things that was causing the business to falter or go behind, that doesn't make sense. You're gonna go under. So we've got to look at the entire picture. Is it another employee? Is it waiting to see how staff reacts to what we have? Like I said, I think they're doing an amazing job. I've had several calls I've called in. The next day, I'm getting response back from staff. Some of it the same day, I'm getting response back from staff. So I know they're out in the field, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. We just want to try to make it as efficient as possible. So,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
just to give you a couple data sets, in the 7-year time frame that they gave us, back in August, I believe it was, in the report that was given, there's 124 properties with liens. And of the 124 properties, 72 of them had 1 lien, and 20 of them had 5 or more liens. So that's a gross percentage right there, Commissioner Swindle. And I'd love to know how that fluctuates, And it looks like really your lien occurrences are happening in kind of 2 neighborhoods, or in 2 regions. And then you look at code cases opened, there was, they're averaging about 1,000, right at just under 1,100 code cases, 14, 15, and 16. I think last year was 1,000 and something as well. So, we get reports that say we're opening up 1,000, we're closing 900 and something, or we're right in there. And I don't know how we judge that against bringing into compliance and making the property look better. And that's where I think we've really got to start letting the rubber meet the road, so. And then, you know, the two biggest items that they deal with are mowing and no permits. And, you know, I guess a no permit means you have to actually have someone in the field assessing should that structure have a permit associated with it, and then checking back on the computer station to see how does that process play out to the status of said permit.
Most of the mowings is call-ins.
I would love to know that,
Yeah,
and that's where to me,
People
you know, there
call
should be a graph that shows how is that reported? How do we know that gets back to us? How do we respond to that stuff? How much of it are we actually proactive on versus reactive? You know, for me, mowing isn't the issue when it's ankle high or it's shin high, which is a violation. Mowing is an issue whenever we're expending resources and we're going in and mowing maiden cane. It's so high, you know. And no permit isn't an issue when it's under construction. It's whenever I have the constituent that calls me up that says, "Hey, that I'm getting told I don't have a permit on this structure, but it's been in existence. You know, it's been up for 10 years, and they're telling me I don't have a permit." I don't understand how that even gets called in or gets discussed. You know, I don't know how that happens. You know, so I don't know what the process is there for that. So.
What kind of action we need to take on this? Anything tonight? Nothing? Okay. All right, thank you, Ms. Emlich. I'm going to bring up Mr. Parker.
For the record, Shane Parker, Henry County Public Works Director. Before you, I have Henry County Health Department Chris Tell change order number 4 to STA number 1. I've revised the staff's recommendation that's in your board packet to include the health department paying 2 months' rent so that Chris Tell can make desired repairs to the HVAC system and some other repairs internally. And that includes authorizing the chairman in his absence, the vice chairman, to execute change order number 4, subject to county attorney approval. Authorize the county attorney to prepare an amendment to the lease agreement with Royal Consolidated Properties for additional 2 months, and for the chairman to execute the amendment, and for the county attorney to prepare an addendum to the interlocal agreement between the health department and Henry County in regards to reimbursement for 2 months of rent, along with execution by the chairman.
Is that all of these?
No, sir, that's just the first one. That's for the HVAC system repairs, the fire alarm repairs, and for the painting of the exterior of the building.
I move option 1.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Swindle, second by Commissioner Byrd. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. The next item I have for you is Henry County Health Department Chris Tell change order number 5 to STA number 1. This is a change order that was requested by the Health Department for various improvements. I handed out a handout for you that has some color photographs in it that shows walls and doors that Dr. Pepe's would like to add. Asking for approval of.
That's safety, and it's some of the active shooter safety and stuff like that. It's just really important that we be proactive in everything that we do and build and repair and as we go forward, so I agree. I move option 1.
Motion by Commissioner Swindle, second by Commissioner Byrd. Any other discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you, Chairman. Next one I have for you is Henry County Courthouse Chris Tell change order number 2 to STA number 5. This is an actual walk-on. The board previously approved this change order back in February at its first board meeting. I'm bringing it back for just clarification to the board that the board does not have to approve this change order with Chris Tell. It's Chris Tell's responsibility for the louvers, but I feel it's justified. They made a mistake in their guaranteed maximum price. I looked at the actual quotes, compared it to the GM price they quoted for that individual line item, and it is out of whack by $23,000. They are not charging a CM fee, as I stated in my prior report, so I'm seeking board approval of this change order.
So
Again,
moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Swindle. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Chairman. The next one is for Henry County non-historic courthouse improvements with Chris Tell Construction. This will be supplemental task authorization number 7. This was the placeholder in your agenda. I apologize for the late email that I sent today, and if you want to wait until next board meeting to consider it, I'd understand, but this is in the amount of $992,193.51. This includes repairs to the remainder of the administration building, the judicial building where we have cracks in the facade. It includes repairs to the entryways. There's some stucco damage on the columns underneath. You
Mr.
have
Chair,
Yes, sir.
how much of this is budgeted? What have been our previous discussions, as you remember? How do you see this as it plays into, you know, a necessity, must do? We've made our decisions that we're moving forward with this. Is this part of that string of contracts of what we were gonna do and we're loaning out? Okay, so how does lead us through that, please? Tell me what you remember.
So we have a $6 million credit line, and this originally they had quoted before they even started this first phase. And so we had phased it, and so we did the first phase, $250,000 or $60,000.
The most needed repairs.
And this was the remaining, this wing and judicial, this
Yes.
wing and the judicial wing. So this will take care of the remaining of this building and the judicial, and then the historic is a separate contract. And so this is what, with the windows leaking and roofs, we did roof repairs last year, and this will take care of the remaining issues for this building.
I think we had that number, I've seen this number before.
It was close to $1 million, and then we
Yeah.
peeled off the east facade of the admin wing, started on that. But this number is back close to $1 million because we had the entryways, while they were here working, the entryways need to be fixed. We're having the glass windows on the south side of the judicial wing replaced. During Hurricane Irma, one of the windows popped out. We need to install a new glazed curtain wall on that side. And we're going to do water leak testing on the east facade of the judicial wing. We replaced the glazed curtain wall in the middle, but there's two windows on the side. One of them started leaking again. And we're going to do a water leak test if we can find out where it's coming in and fix that as part of this.
When was that window replaced?
It wasn't replaced.
So it's just
The
a window
east-
that's arbitrarily started leaking?
It's running the whole ways down. It's like a small leak on the side that was noticed.
In part of the courthouse, didn't they have the wrong windows in there?
Attached or something like
They
that.
weren't attached, correct?
They weren't attached. Yeah.
Something was wrong.
But that's contract ago.
Yeah.
That was the
Original.
first time around.
Yeah, that's when Mark Lynch was still carrying the ball for the Cowboys, so, okay. Before that? Was it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ma'am? No, we're not replacing any other windows on the courthouse, but on the south side of the judicial, there was a window that popped out in Hurricane Irma and that kind of popped back in, but the contractor wouldn't warranty the work to repair it
Not
because
gonna fix our windows that are leaking on.
there's more windows leaking?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know about that.
All right, so thank you, Ms. Butler. Mr. Chair, that's what I'm wanting to know. So, I mean, Ms. Butler, they're mobilized, so obviously we're gonna have a savings there. But I want to make sure from all the constituents, from all the constitutional officers, because I think there's demons in this building that, you know, Commissioner Wills and Allen just, they know about, but Ms. Butler may know about a couple other little gremlins and so on and so forth, and I think that we need to have a more broad discussion where the county administrator leads that charge and says, this is where we are, this is what we're looking at, what else do you know? So you can see the scope. Because I'm in here twice a month, maybe. You're in here every day, you know? And so it's great. I feel cool and all because I'm approving $1 million to make the building proper. And then guess what happens? We're $1 million in, and we did 95% of the cake. And that 5% makes you irate, angry because it makes it taste so poorly.
So,
Bring it back and make sure that we get everything.
We can. I got to find out where these windows are and then get with Christelle, or if you
Mr. Chair,
want to move some.
I'm not asking just for him to find out where those windows are. I'm asking for our county administrator to send out a large email to all of those constitutionals and say, here's what we're doing. We're not operating in a vacuum. We're trying to take everybody's opinion into consideration here. And we, you know, we're not building a new $40 million complex 10 minutes outside of town. We're throwing $1 million or $2 million at this one, and we're going to make it plush.
Yeah, there's other leaks. I mean, you took care of the east wall, correct?
The east wall is still under
But
construction.
none of the south wall on administration, we had it all
We're doing the south wall repairs of the admin wing,
on the admin wing.
the north side, and then we're going to go around the judicial.
That's windows.
No, that's just fixing the facade And then
There's
fixing
a-
the one
the
window on the
windows
south.
side,
and
you're
there's-
gonna find a lot more than just there.
Okay. And we
Same
got,
thing, not attached well, poor construction, or are they just bad? What, just everything?
Once you get inside,
everything
you're gonna
above?
probably find out the same situation over here as what happened over there. They
Good
probably weren't
grief.
attached properly.
And that, I mean, and that takes it from $1 million to $1.5 million. And how mad are we at the contractor when they come back and tell us we want to do this? And oh, you guys are just running it up.
We're working with.
And the
The reality
problem
is that
until
they're
you
not.
open that wall, you won't know that. When you open that, until they open the hallway over here, we couldn't see that.
Yeah.
And once again, over here, it's gonna be the same thing. Once they open it, you're probably more than likely, you're gonna find out it was not attached correctly
I
in the
see,
beginning.
I see no sense in not doing it while we're here and getting it
No,
right.
we need to do it all.
That's right.
If it's not, if that's not included, there's no sense
That's right.
doing a halfway job.
That's
We
our
need to do it all.
responsibility to make sure it's done and done right.
I thought we did a thorough assessment, and then we supposed to have a contractor to supervise the contract.
No, Mr. Chair, Ms. Byrd, I do not remember it like that. What I remember was there was a portion that we were going to let them perform a thorough inspection of. They did that. They came back to us and they said, man, you guys got bigger problems than what we anticipated. It's going to cost X for that portion. And then we'll come back. By the way, while we're doing this portion, we have a grant and a contract on another section of the building on the historic courthouse, and they're moving forward with that at light speed. And Commissioner Harris is raising money to get the chimes back on, so.
Yeah, I think we need to come back and,
Okay.
and do a little more evaluation. That, you're gonna find the whole south side, all 3 floors.
What?
And Mr. Chair, we're not saying that in the light of,
Oh, yeah.
oh, woe is us, mean contractor. We're saying,
absolutely not.
let's do it right the first time, Shane.
understand.
Barbara, had you mentioned those windows before or just today?
Every time I'm in her office, I get yelled at about windows.
Those windows have leaked for over 18 years.
Well, we shouldn't.
See what I
be-
mean?
We shouldn't be bringing it up today. Should have been taken.
It's Mitch's fault.
I know,
It's
I've
not
been
Commissioner
asking y'all
Wills'
for money
fault.
for
It's
years.
Mitch's
Y'all kept
fault.
telling me just to deal with it. We
Cuba
put
Coffee,
pots
good
here.
man.
and
We
Barbara
forced him to
garbage
run.
there.
We forced him to run simply because of this issue.
See?
Here you are, Mr. Chair.
Y'all could have done.
Make it happen,
If
Cap.
you just fixed the dang window, I wouldn't have been here.
Cooper Caulk 18 years ago would have fixed all that.
Okay, so we need to
Bring it
back
back.
up on this one. Yeah, we need to
Okay.
hold up on it.
Thanks, Shane. Sorry for the
Thank
monkey
you, Mr.
wrench,
Parker.
but
Yeah, they're probably going to be pretty excited about that news,
yeah,
actually.
they like it.
Okay, Barbara, get your list out.
That's a markup.
It's not a problem.
Yeah, Liz, she's got it right here, probably.
But, Mr. Chair, don't you agree Ms. Davis should ask all of the all of the constitutional officers?
We need to get everyone involved and,
Yeah.
it's actually, and Alan Bowen as well, you're gonna get him back in here. And a lot of this, like I said, it's not new. It's not gonna be new to him. It's not new to me. So it's not gonna be new to him either. I mean, it's something we've been dealing with for, like I said, I worked there for 18 years.
Oh, yeah.
They just,
Well, they went through the rainy season. They should know every crack.
We know that every year.
yeah, every time it rains, we know it.
Where we gonna fix it? Okay.
Okay, Mr. Lapp, you're on the
Heard him
bottom
say
there.
it.
Do you have anything?
I heard it.
Nothing? Does anyone in the public wish to speak tonight? If you do, please come up, state your name. Yes, sir, Dr. Pepe. I hope we didn't save you all the way to the end and waste your time, sir.
I love seeing you guys. Joe Pepe, Florida Department of Health, Hendry County. Just want to bring you up to speed on a couple of things real quick. There's been lots of discussion on behavioral health, and as you know, for the last several years, that's been a major priority for me. We have Lisa Sands and Ms. Davis have really led us on a conversation for behavioral health, and I'm trying to pull up the date, April the 18th. We're having a meeting with all of the mental health providers that some you've seen, and we're going to have that conversation on who's doing what are our needs. It's by invitation, so just want you to know about it, because in that conversation, I feel our role in public health, we have been asked by several folks to actually provide the behavioral health services, and really our model is linkage to care and making sure that we can partner with all of our community. But I really feel our role is stabilizing this. Over the last several years, I'm just as frustrated as you are with the amount of people that have come and gone, and our community is suffering as a result of that. So some of the data points, and I'll certainly share with you some of the data points through a memo I'll get to the board on how we're trending compared to state. When you look at the mental health statistics, we are below in our rate per state, but when you look at items like domestic violence, we actually are above state average. So maybe not so much from a clinical diagnosis, but from a health factor or behavioral outcome, we're leading in some areas. Several years ago, we were fairly high on juvenile arrests in schools. We've come down significantly since that point. We're ranked, I think, 16th in the state now. We were at 3. So we're changing the conversation to more of an environment that's protective and resilient. And at some point, I'll put together a presentation for you all to see kind of the big picture. The other is, very publicly, I'd like to thank Jennifer and Shane. They've been amazing in helping this transition with the health department. It's going to be absolutely amazing when we get back into the place with expansion of services. It's going to be something we're going to be proud of. And more importantly, the building is going to be resilient enough to provide resources for folks to shelter, possibly in the health department, as well as we'll be able to open up very quickly with generator and some other things. But more importantly, we didn't have a place for EMS to shelter during Irma and some other things like that, so we can certainly help strengthen and provide some more resources to the community. But I just wanted to publicly thank them because it's been a very long conversation, and they've been great. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you, Dr.
Dr.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Business by district, Mr. Swindle.
We are in the fortunate year for the census again. And I know that that's, whether we like it or don't like it, or if it's grueling or whatever it happens to be, these numbers stick with us for, a 10-year cycle. And it is unbelievably important that we get some accurate data because it affects everything from the health care and our ability to deliver health care, veterans services, and things like that. There is a slew of different things that is dependent upon Henry getting as accurate data as possible. I had a conversation with Ms. Papanoff, and she really has a good plan about how she wants to regionalize the county and roll out the census information and gathering. I'm concerned that it is a huge lift, and I don't want to see this opportunity not really get taken seriously. Is it possible to free up other health resources to make sure that Ms. Papanoff has what she needs to make sure that gets out there? I know everyone's busy and everyone's plate's full, but I'm afraid that she's just not got enough time. She juggles and spins plates and does what she does. I just don't want to see this opportunity missed because this is going to be a 10-year endeavor that we are going to have to live with.
We have wrapped our IT department in regards to addressing and E911 they did the initial files that had to be sent up to the state and to the federal government for that purpose.
Okay.
So we have been doing that, but we will certainly make sure that we have all the proper.
Awesome. And she may reach out to us as well because she's got a plan to regionalize throughout the county and different communities of getting the proper people to help do the sprawl and pick on the right persons that know how to penetrate the communities and get that data. So she may even reach out to us and get the correct ones. That's right, exactly.
The last time around, a lot on 78, close to the Alva, they all had Alva addresses.
Yeah.
Everybody was scared that it's going to be counted in Lee County.
That's right. That's right.
They had the
Yeah.
zip code and everything.
There's a lot of issues like that. There's a lot of folks who don't want to be counted or discovered or anything
Yeah.
else, but nonetheless, we need to make sure that we capture
Need
all
to
the data we
find 'em.
can. Yeah.
I hadn't been on the website, but some people say when they get on the website, they can't actually get through, so that might need to be brought to her attention.
What is that, Ms. Bird?
Couldn't get through the website. There's a website out, and they couldn't, census website, and they couldn't log on to it.
Okay. That's all, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bird?
First of all, thank you for everything. Second, we know brown sugar's approaching us.
What?
Y'all have one every 3 months.
I thought that was in May.
Where's the y'all?
Yo, what's y'all mean, Commissioner Henry? Why you gotta throw the card out there, bud? What's up? Oh, so you just gonna point at the black woman? That's what it. Okay, I got it. It's y'all straight up.
We don't like not start talking about the elderly. But, I'm reaching out to the board. We would like to give the key to one of our residents on a yearly basis that's 99 years or older. Give them the key to the county. And we only want to do it at the age of 99 or older, and to be someone had already asked me to do it, but I was trying to find a proper way or the proper time to do it where I wouldn't overlook someone. So if we do it during the brown sugar, they have to be 99 years and a resident in the county for a period of time. So I just want to bring that to your attention and get the
That's a great
approval of the
idea, Ms.
board.
Bird.
How many do you have?
Well, I have one person that was recommended for this one, but they can present the rest of the years. But I already had one because when the different ones in the community brought her attention to me, they asked me a little while ago, but I was trying to find a proper way to do it so I wouldn't offend anybody else. So if I do it like that, they got to be 99 years or older to be able to get the key to the city.
Well, it doesn't matter what you do, Ms. Bird, you're gonna offend somebody.
Should give them 2 keys for that.
So Daryl's gonna foot it for me, guys,
Yeah.
just so you all know.
That Darryl Harris Fund, what was it earlier?
Yeah.
So I just want you guys' approval, before I step forward with that. Thank you.
We'll take care of you, Mr.
It's a great idea.
Daryl will take care of it.
Mr. Swindle, you getting us a truck for the drive this year through the parade?
Yeah.
I'm not riding in this
Yeah,
truck.
that's good.
I'm
We need
gonna
all
dash
that
out
we
with my
can get. We
horse.
have to push it again. We got it, no problem.
Yeah, we didn't have no
Good
trouble
to go.
last year. It was smooth.
It was.
As long as he takes his chain with him.
Yeah, well, I got it
Smooth and
covered.
terrible.
We're covered.
I thought it went good.
We had a good time.
Okay, Mr. Harris?
Anyway, me and Jennifer went on a tour. Everybody needs to go on the C-43 tour. Whether you like it or not, and all that stuff. But anyway, you don't believe it till you get there and look at it. Isn't that right, Jennifer?
That's correct. And Emily is working on getting the rest of you all out there with the water management district, but it was very impressive. And
Yeah. And we went up and looked at, there's a pump station. Okay, and it's about from here to there. And I said, how much does that cost? He said, a little over 13 million.
Yeah.
Then we went on down and this building one 3 times that big. They're spending that money. So I don't know if it'll work or not, but it's too late now. And anyway, I've talked to Shane and Jennifer, and on Case and Evans, there's been interest with certain people on those 2 sections to do a lighting district. And I think you got to do 50% to do the district, and then Shane has to do a cost per partial on the lights. Is that correct?
Yes, it's 51% or more have to agree to a lighting MSBU. Once we get them to agree, I'll prepare a cost estimate for the lighting district and then bring it back for them to get
Then-
approval for another 51%.
Then they've got to also agree on the cost.
That'd be on the second petition.
Right.
Their
2.
estimated cost, and then it'd come back for the board, public hearings, have an ordinance creating it.
Mr. Chair.
Assessment.
Okay.
Is that FPL or Glades Electric?
FP&L, it should be FP&L.
It is FPL.
That'll go quick.
FPL.
They can jump on that. That's
So
great.
Hey,
anyway,
before you leave, don't go nowhere yet.
then
Oh, boy.
I've also asked Shane to, because he always says we can't do anything about it. A lot of times. Not all the time, though. He's pretty good. And to look into the LAP program for Case and Evans and see if there's any way or any funding that could get through the LAP program for those roads. And if you can't get anything, maybe per year, do some piping after it's engineered on each road to show the people we're trying to do something. Because if it's piped, you can walk on the pipes. So anyway, we got to do something, so he's going to do those avenues. And you don't know till you ask or try, so we're going to do that.
That's what I was gonna ask. Could we, there was a way that we could look at each road and not both sides, but could we look at one side? That's exactly what I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
Is there some way we can look at getting where we can have foot traffic through there? There's residents live there, there's a lot of kids, so they want to be able to walk out and up and down the road. I believe we could look at one side of each road and maybe
Right.
do that, possibly get it piped and do a sidewalk there.
Right, we can chase LAP funding for a sidewalk. We may have to bring an item back for you for approval, like in the comprehensive on the comprehensive plan, to say, that's the wrong one, capital improvement schedule, which is referenced in the comprehensive plan, add it as a project so we can get points for the Heartland TPO.
And how long would it them to tell you that, no, you can't do
But
it?
we apply in January.
Yeah, but
every
how
year.
long does it be?
Just a
before they
couple
can-
months when
Huh?
you, just a couple months. You apply in
'Cause it
January, in a
usually
few
drags
months,
out
you'll know.
years, so it'd be a couple of months.
It'll be till you know, and then they'll put it in the 5-year work program. Depends
But
where it
then
ranks,
that's
it could
when
be
you
in the
get
end.
into the 3 and 4 year.
Yes,
deal.
sir, that's correct.
But if we don't start looking at it, it's gonna be 10 years.
Yeah,
Right.
we
So
gotta
we
do
need to,
something.
if we can, that was exactly what I was gonna, if we can get some kind of idea to try to help them through there. And like I said, I've lived there my entire life, so I've seen that road forever. There's no reason, just cause it was, mama taught it and we bought it, don't make it right. So if we can try to figure out a way to fix it, that'd be great. That's all I had for that. Thank you, Mr. Parker.
You're welcome.
Turner?
You know, I heard, I don't even know what the meetings are in reference to, but I heard that we have 2 community meetings coming up at 9 a.m. and I believe 2 or 4 p.m. And then we had a very brief conversation I think it was the end of our last meeting about moving our meetings back. And I just wanted to throw that out there again for us to be considering on anything that we're doing like that. If it is truly a community-minded meeting, we need to be contemplating the fact of taking the community and the working folks into mind on that. Because you know, I have a fair amount of people that ask me all the time to move these meetings to at least 5:30, but preferably 6, because they do not have the ability to get here and or even view it on Facebook. But by the time they get home and get babies fed and or cleaned up and ready for whatever they're doing, or they come back from practice or whatever, they're pressed for time. So just something to take into consideration. And then to the conversation which you all had about local agency participation grants, I'd love to know what are the thresholds associated with that, Shane, you know, population-wise. Like, you know, remember when we took we didn't. Remember when FDOT was 4-laning 80 and they took those beautiful oak, that entire canopy out, you know, and we had a tremendous amount of constituents come in and asked us to put up that wall, to get FDOT to put up a wall. There's thresholds that have to be tripped in order for, you know, population sometimes or usage at a red light, you know, whatever it may be. And so if we're looking at something like a local agency participation grant on Case and Evans, I would love to know how that would also roll into a bigger package if it doesn't have to be just on one section. Because I automatically look at Flaghole and the volume of people that have lived out there and how many times constituents have asked me, what do we have to do to get a sidewalk, even just in a couple areas, not in the entire neighborhood? Or how many times people have asked me, you know, you look at Highway 27 and 835 now, or Old 27 and 27 where it dumps out by the Tropical gas station. You know, those, yes, ma'am. And two things, Ms. Burr. The volume of people coming down 835 from where Quality Electric and Bob Bean Supply on that intersection of Evercane and Hookers Point Road, the volume of people coming down that road going to Shamrock or going to Davidson to get on the sidewalk to either ride their bike or walk. And I'm going to tell you, we will not be 2 years before somebody gets whacked at night, you know.
They got a gator down there, I promise you won't wait.
It's going to eat somebody quicker than 2 years. Yes, ma'am.
I don't
So, you know, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how the LAP program would play out. And then on the intersection of 835 and 27, you know, knowing what traffic counts could be, and if that is getting to a point where it's going to deem a red light or even just a cautionary blinking light. I don't know.
That was the same way 78.
Yeah, exactly, more of a regional look at this is what.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Commissioner Turner, for the record, Shane Parker, Henry County Public Works Director. The LAP program, I don't know of population, but I know when they ranked the LAP projects in the Heartland TPO, proximity to schools, was it in a comprehensive plan, was it in capital improvement schedule, there's a whole list they have. It's our last comprehensive pathways plan, which was community-related meetings all through the county, was funded by DOT. I can't remember if it was a LAP project. It was funded by DOT, and it was done in like 2009. It's 2019. We still use it, and we reference it, but we've built a lot of sidewalks in there on that plan. We replaced the bad areas. Got input from the various communities, got input from the school board. I would recommend, with all the sidewalk, I would recommend that we move forward with updating that comprehensive pathways plan.
That would be
Do
great.
your new outreach, and that way there might be, you're talking about sidewalks that may have shown up. I think 835 was on there, portions of it, but
Yes.
I don't recall Flaghole.
Yeah.
And so, but that's just shooting from the hip. So I would
I
recommend you
remember
update
that I remember it vividly. I remember when you first presented, there were a couple gross errors. I don't know if you remember that. There were some major mistakes, but it was just with the people that were doing it.
Right.
They had no familiarity with our area whatsoever. I remember it was kind of comical, some of the mistakes that they made. We cleaned that right up, and then we had 2 or 3 meetings where we viewed that, and it ended up being a really good roadmap, no pun intended. And I would be all about reviewing that again.
We're complete with all sidewalks in the school areas.
Maybe on this side of the county.
Because you can get them anywhere there's a school, you can get a sidewalk.
They are not on the east side of the county. No, sir.
If you're within 2 miles, you get points for sidewalks if you're within 2 miles of the Heartland TPO. If it completes a missing link, like we got the segment on Sonora coming from WC Owens.
Well, then that's
to the high
perfect.
school.
I mean, that 835 piece is going to qualify out the
So
wazoo.
that's what you use all those, like, does it connect to a library? Does it connect to a
Yes, sir.
civic center? Those all garner points because you're in competition in Heartland with the other counties. So
Yes, sir.
if you're in
Well, if you
Timbuktu
got-
building a sidewalk, you're not going to do good. But if you can tie it into library, school, you get points.
Well, 100%. I mean, it's a thoroughfare. It's a thoroughfare every morning.
Because you can go right out here and walk all the way.
Hey, before you leave, Shane, while we're talking about sidewalks,
Yes, sir.
sidewalk down Cowboy Way, where it dumps out around the bridge, was that originally supposed to be?
Where the retaining wall is?
You talking about Ford
Yes,
Drive?
Ford Drive, I mean, it dumps you out on the bridge, you gotta go through
Oh,
traffic.
no.
Was there supposed to be a connecting sidewalk across there?
Yes, yes. Okay, that was back in '06. That was going to be a county, it was a LAP project, going to be county constructed, and we got into it, had all, county didn't know what we were stepping into with Davis-Bacon, Wage, Buy American. We didn't have enough money in the grant to build a bridge across the canal. So we do have an approval for a consultant to do design intersection improvements, and Four-Way Drive was part of it when we shot topo, but I believe that was the contract is to Johnson Engineering to redo that whole intersection and tie those two sidewalks together. That's one that we were gonna.
With the roundabout?
No.
Oh, no.
Good, I guess.
Jab.
But we were
Thank
gonna
you,
use,
Commissioner.
we were gonna use in-house dollars to design it and then chase DOT funding for it
Okay,
and
so-
try to get it funded.
Okay.
But
And the next
that was
thing,
the
Mitch,
intent.
is, you got the plans for 40 and 80, where
Yes,
everybody's
from
getting
you.
run over?
Right.
Have you had a chance to
No.
look at that? I know you
No,
hadn't
sir.
had a chance to look. Can Tommy look at them for
He
you?
can.
Okay. Anyway, somebody's gonna get killed on 40 and 80 there. When you go down 40 to turn on 80, if you're in anything other than a pickup truck, you can't see, especially back towards town. And a lady pulled out the other day, and I mean, it's horrible. And then when you get all that traffic going to the ballparks and everything. So anyway, you gotta make sure that those plans that they sent down has gotta be over far enough to see around it.
Yes, sir.
John Anderson went down there and he said he couldn't see around it.
Understood. Johnson?
So can you do those, look at them in the morning?
Yes, sir.
Also, piggybacking where you was at there a while ago, the meeting times, I'm all for that. So, and that's one of my pet peeves is having a public meeting when the public can't attend.
Yes, sir.
That defeats the ideal of having a public meeting. You might as well just call it a locked door, we're gonna get it done. So I'm with you on that, and you and I had that conversation, it was 2 meetings back, and.
Was it
and
already 2
again,
meetings
6
ago?
o'clock, yeah, 6 o'clock sounds great to me too, and I know everybody said we're getting out too late now, and we only meet twice a month. So if we're out at 9 instead of 8, so be it.
If we have to meet at 6, it means we can have them both in LaBelle.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I just want to point out 2 things, two final things. Number 1, Commissioner Harris has spoken more during my business by district than any of us combined tonight. And I'm proud of you, Commissioner Harris. It's awesome. But that gives me 2 meetings where you can't pick on me. And then third thing is I attended the most well-attended meeting in the Pioneer community in my tenure as a commissioner in the 2 years prior to getting into this position. On Saturday, the 23rd, it was almost in entirety about ATV use in Pioneer. There was a tremendous amount of the percentage of people there, I think, were in favor of having ATV usage be a little bit more lenient. They've asked that we look at the ordinance that we currently have, how it mirrors with what the state says. They've asked about what is happening in Harlem with the golf carts and the pilot program that's going on there, how we could find a happy medium, and then the potential of perhaps making it to where you're just allowed to drive your ATV or side-by-side in the event you are a Pioneer resident, specific landowner, proving ID, so on and so forth, that gives you also the ability to buy a registration that is Hendry County specific or maybe even Pioneer specific. I don't know, but there was a lot of different variables that were thrown out there. I am going to meet with Ms. Davis and drill in with her on a lot more of those specifics, and then we're going to have an ATV meeting part 2 out at Pioneer. But it was over 150 people, I bet, easily, and that was a Saturday afternoon, 4 to 4:45. They said they got there at 2:30, 3 o'clock, and not everybody was even gone until probably 5:30, almost 6. So it was well attended.
Because they used to be against it 100%.
I remember that, and so now there's been a groundswell by a handful of people, I think, that want to see the ability to ride four-wheelers on dirt roads in Pioneer. I also think there's a camp that would like to be able to ride their four-wheelers everywhere in Pioneer. And then I think there's a camp that is still 100% against four-wheeler usage. And it was one of the few times, where there were so many people in the crowd. I think there were clearly people that were black on this issue and white on that issue. And it was still a very good conversation where everybody was, just expressing their opinions. It was healthy.
Those main things keep them out of the ditches.
Yeah.
They'll ruin the ditches.
Yeah, they'll ruin a ditch. Yes, sir. And I will tell you, if Sheriff Whidden wasn't there, the meeting would have been horribly received right out of the gate, and not because of anything from a law enforcement perspective, but because there were so many questions that were pertinent to him and his jurisdiction versus my jurisdiction as commissioner, and he was able to visit with everybody on those. I thought it was just, I was very happy. I was very happy to be part of it, and I'm looking forward to having a second meeting over there. Real quick though, did you and Chauncey Goss get to go through C-43 with Phil Flood?
Commissioner Harris went.
Okay.
I wasn't able to go.
Okay, all right, good deal.
They had a signable commissioner too.
Good. Was it Mick? No? Okay, never mind.
Lady.
Oh, okay.
I'll probably get scolded because Mr. Harris went, but.
Well, that's going to be an easy thing. I know the district is interested in getting everybody out there.
Yeah.
And so
I've talked with Mr. Flood about that. So.
you need to go out there as it progresses, you all, and just look at the magnitude of that project. A $524 million project doesn't happen all the time. And by the time it's all done, it's going to be just under $800 million, with the preceding phases and everything that's been done out there. It's impressive.
Supposed to be number 7, 7th largest.
7th largest reservoir in the nation?
I think so.
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to tally too. I'm going to tally tonight.
Going forward, with talking about the DOT earlier, they've really stepped up this year. They've been cleaning all the roads down 29 early. They got on it early. It's very, very thankful that they're getting ahead of it this year. Shane Road and Bridge has done an amazing job with helping me out down in Felda. I bugged Jerry Jones a lot. He probably got me on block on his caller ID. But he's really helped me a lot there, and he's helped me out on Murray Road as well. We've had quite a few conversations there. I'm pretty sure in the near future we're going to be having a conversation on Phillips Road again. I've had quite a few constituents that are on that road that have showed interest to try to get everyone on board and maybe getting an MSBU there, because that road's just in terrible shape, which we all know that. I mean, we patched that road back when I worked at Road and Bridge in 1990, back then. So, but, since then it's been taken away, and it's a private road, which it was then. It was kind of one of those we'll help you out things. So I'll probably see that coming in the future. Fortino Road is getting a lot of talk. It was good talk, bad talk, and everybody's kind of happy that they're seeing the work begin there. So until they start speeding through there and running over Tommy's grass and everything, they'll be good. But so that's good as well. I've got quite a bit of complaints coming in on the garbage. Zay has been very helpful, but I believe going forward that we need to be on top of that situation. I don't know what other districts have had.
What type of complaint?
Not picking up garbage.
Mr. Chair, I'm having the same thing. I don't know what year we're in our contract, but I don't think they would be out of line to revisit some of the language and chat. And I know the totes were still an issue that they haven't been able to meet, and I just think we need to look at that a little bit. Maybe have county administrator meet with the vendor and have a very forward-thinking conversation.
Yeah. They came out when I called about my complaint. He came out to Harlem.
Yeah.
And he addressed them right there on the site, so he did do a follow-through.
And
Well,
I
they're
will
doing that
say-
for me as well, but the problem is I'm having to call every month.
Keep getting the calls. I will say the calls that I've gotten when we go through the channels, the constituents typically call back within a day or two and say, thank you, they come, they fix the can, or they got it taken care of, so.
And most of it's pick up, and part of it's areas. I got a lady in Felda, they pick it up the one day, the next day they won't go in there and get it, same situation.
Yeah, there's a couch been on site 835 going on like 9 days now.
I've got a business
Oh,
over here, they
who
drive
drives
right by him.
Every day.
They pick it up every now and then. I've got one gentleman that lives out in the middle, kind of nowhere back there, but that doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. They're
He
paying
still
for
pays
service.
garbage, so
Yeah.
they need to go get him, and he's out on Key Rye Road. So it's just stuff like that we need to keep in mind, and, we need to have a paper trail that when it does come up. And like I said, Zay, he does the same thing for me. When I call him, he goes, takes care of it. But I'm having to call him about the same people every month.
A crew that goes
So-
through there just needs to be tightened up a little bit.
The driver.
Hey, Mr.
Tommy, up to
Mr. Chair.
talk. Y'all see that?
I'm going to Tallahassee. Y'all mind if I scoot out?
Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
all right, thank y'all. Have a
Good
great
things
evening. I
happen.
shall. Yes, sir.
Tom, you got
When
three
you,
minutes.
sir,
3 minutes.
when you call Zay and you don't
Yes.
call us, we have no way of tracking it.
Yeah, I understand that, yeah.
So if you could just call us, that's a good way for us to track it. We can
I
make sure it's
will
hooked up.
start copying you on, because what I'm doing is actually not just calling, I'm sending emails, that way there is a paper trail. So I will copy you on those, and then for ones from the past, I'll go ahead and copy you as well.
Great.
So, yes. But that was really all I had tonight, too. Like I said, code enforcement's been doing a real good job. I know they get picked on a lot, but I've had problems, and they've jumped right on it. They've got the situation under control. So that's really all I have tonight. Thank you.